Hi, it's Barry. I'd like to invite you to my new webinar on the subject of how to help people to stop vaping. In this new vaping masterclass, we're going to be looking at how you can use hypnosis and NLP to help people stop vaping in one or maybe two sessions at most. This is a huge market. Current figures are, and these are the official figures, so you can bet your life there are a lot more than this. Current figures in the UK alone, about 3.5 million people vape, as opposed to about 6 million people who smoke. And those numbers are changing all the time because people are thinking, the smokers are thinking that vaping is a safer option, and it turns out it's not. And so many of them who have been vaping for a while now are soon discovering that their health is not improving, and in fact, is coming with a whole load of other problems. So now people are suddenly becoming aware of the fact that, you know what, not only did I need to stop smoking, I need to stop vaping as well. So this is becoming a growing market where the hypnotherapist or the NLP practitioner who understands how to work with these people can really build a thriving practice, helping people to stop vaping. So we're going to be looking at these methods that we can use to stop someone from vaping very, very quickly and easily. First of all, we're going to be looking at whether or not it's even healthy. Over the last few years, there's been tons of research coming out showing that there's some real concerns about the safety of these vapes. I mean, when you start looking into it, it's mind-boggling. Not only is it linked to lung problems, but it also crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it's going straight into the brain. It's also causing a huge problem for women because they now know it affects the eggs and can cause problems and birth defects in the babies. So this is becoming a real big health problem. And personally, I think this is a ticking time bomb. This is going to go off bang, and some people are going to have some really horrible, horrible illnesses as a result of continuing to vape. So there's never been a better time to help people stop vaping and to even spread the news that it is not a healthy option. So we're going to be looking at the health side of it. We'll also be looking at the motivation. With getting people to stop smoking, they already know it's bad for them. You know, for years they've had it shoved down their throat how bad smoking is. So they already are motivated to some degree. But a lot of the people who are vaping thinking that this is a safe option, and we need to explain to them it's really not. So we've got to ramp up their level of motivation and desire to quit, because that's what we've got to really do. Then we're going to look at inductions. Now, when I work with smoking, weight loss and vaping, I'm going to be using an induction which really, really proves hypnosis. If you followed any of my other videos and you've done any training with me, you'll know that pretty much I just say people close their eyes and I get on with the work when I'm working with things like anxiety or depression and things like that. But when it comes to these sort of behavioural change, I want to create belief and expectancy. So we need to use an induction that uses a number of tests built into it which prove hypnosis. So the person doesn't just think, oh, I wonder if I'm hypnotized. They know they're hypnotized as we go through this process. And this induction works online as well. So if you practice on Zoom, that's great, no problem at all. We're going to be incorporating tests and convincers into that induction so that the client knows they've been hypnotized. Then we're going to start looking at parts. Whenever you're working with any sort of addiction or whatever, often there's parts going on, because by its very nature, if someone's doing something they don't want to do, it implies there's a conflict, because part of them wants to stop and part of them doesn't. If right now 100% of them wanted to quit vaping, they would. If right now 100% of them wanted to carry on vaping, they would. So the only reason they're coming to see you is because they're incongruent. So we need to make them congruent. We're also going to look at aversions. Now, it's kind of important to create initially some sort of aversion to the actual thought of vaping, because at the moment, part of their strategy is when they have the urge to vape, then when they have that first vape, there's a positive feeling. It's like, oh God, that feels better. So there's getting a positive reward. We need to create some form of aversion in that, in the strategy, so that when they think of it, they get a bad feeling, not a good feeling. So we need to insert in the strategy of their thinking If you've studied NLP, you'll understand strategies. We need to insert a negative K in there to create an aversion to that behavior. Then we're going to look at anchoring. We need to anchor in some positive resources so that they are fully committed. We're also going to use anchoring and some modality patterns to create them, to get them to be really resourceful and determined to stick this through. Also, we're going to use anchoring and submodalities to use a recovery strategy so that if in the future someone offers them a vape or offers them a cigarette or something and they think, you know what, I'll just have one, that if they do that, that they're not thinking, oh, that's the end of it, I'm back vaping again. No, they actually pick themselves up and go back to their old way of behavior, or go back to the habit of being a non-vapor. So it's really important that we install this recovery strategy. So should they make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. And this is something that often people leave out, is that they just assume that once they stop, that's it. If we build in a recovery strategy, that means if the further they go into the future, the more successful they'll become. So we want to do that. We also want to look at pricing as well, because this is important as well. We've got to price it accordingly. The reality is, I've done loads of testing on pricing before, particularly 20 odd years ago when I was doing a lot on stopping smoking. The more you charge, the more successful you will be in this sort of behavioural change. You know, if you're working with pain or anxiety, that's not necessarily the case. But if you're working with this sort of behavioural change, you have to price it accordingly. So we need to be looking at the pricing, because if you're going to charge just like 50, 60, 70 pounds for a session, your success rates are not going to be as good as they could. Including in the training, you're going to get a full manual with all the techniques in it so that you've got everything you need from the following day. So if your vaping client comes in on the Monday, you'll have everything you need to be successful with that person. Like all the other webinars, it's going to be chock full of techniques and tools that you can use. There's not going to be any fluff in there whatsoever. It's going to be 2 hours crammed in with techniques that you can use to help people change their lives. So I hope you sign up for it. I hope to see you soon. The link will be in the description below. So I hope to see you soon.